What's up, Battle Brothers and Battle Sisters? This is Ave Dominus New back again with more 40k content. I read Gaunt's Ghost First and Only by Dan Abnett, and I have a little review for you guys. So don't forget to like and subscribe because I'm likely going to read any books that I come across and any books that you suggest to me. And I've got a long wish list on Audible, and I'd love for you guys to be here for the journey. So it's time to stand in midnight cloud. Through all my journey in 40k, I've come across some pretty bonkers shit. Fungus with an imagination that rivals Tim Burton in the 90s, undying soulless machines that somehow have more personality than the Space Marines, and even like fish Gundam pilot snipers. But I can tell you one faction that surprisingly has gone through an even crazier adventure than all of them. Regular, normal, vanilla, unleaded men. I just read First and Only, the first but not only book of Gaunt's Ghost series. And it's about the Guard, and you know these guys are not like some powered armored, gene enhanced super soldiers or some ridiculously lucky screaming nuns and stuff. They're just regular old dudes. So I was real surprised with how the book escalated. The type of 40k shit that they have to deal with and that they come across with is astounding. Colonel Commissar Ibram Gaunt is the titular main character of the series. And in a nutshell, this guy is Cain if he was what people thought that he was. Gaunt is proficient at his job to the point that he's almost a Mary Sue. And I don't want to put him in that category because he's actually an interesting character, but his ability to learn and improvise makes him a very potent threat for any of his ops. Now I want you to understand right now that there's going to be a lot of Cain comparisons because I didn't read For the Emperor too long ago, and the only other protagonist commissar I have is Cain, so I'm going to compare them a lot. One of the major differences is that Gaunt actually cares about his troops, and he's not really into that Guard tradition of having like regular grievous casualties in his unit. Cain cares about his people, but we all know that in his mind that those are all just his walking meat shields for when the bullets start flying. Also, Gaunt actually had the colonel rank plus the commissar rank, while For the Emperor, Cain is just commissar, and his authority is a little bit more shared than what Gaunt's is. Imagine saying just a commissar. Probably the friendly unit that has the biggest chance of putting a not so friendly bolter round in your skull. These commissars have been overall very chill, so I'm glad to see my expectations of the bloodthirsty military babysitter being subverted in some type of way. The book shows parts from Gaunt's childhood, just fresh out of the Schola, and his early desire to figure out how his father died, which is very classified information. It goes through his young adulthood and how he became a commissar and his run-in with a mysterious psyker, and this girl could give the Exorcist kid a run for her creepy ass money. All of these past story threads actually catch back up throughout the book, and it's crazy that this is a Dan Abnett book, and the last thing I read was Siege of Terra, which left a lot of threads still dangling. But to be fair, this is more of a localized, singular kind of story compared to the Siege of Terra, which is kind of like a Marvel crossover event. Gaunt is the leader of two different Guard regiments that work together. One, the Vitrian Dragoons, who are basically kind of like Ultramarines, except they're Guard. And the titular 10th First and Only, what the vast majority of the characters in this books are. I thought that these guys were ghosts because they were stealthy, and I was right about one thing: they are stealthy, but they're only ghosts because their planet was destroyed and they're still vengefully battling throughout the galaxy. A lot of the differences in ideology between the regiments are explored through dialogue with the troops. There is a lot of action in the novel. However, some of these moments are some of the best in the book, in my opinion. Learning about the Tanith's past and about the Vitrian battle doctrine and how secretive they are about it, it was so interesting, and I love those parts of the book. I have to talk about my favorite character. He stood out to me the most out of the Tanith. And this book has a ton of characters, so I'm just going to go with the one that was so badass that I can still remember his name off the top of my head. We're talking about Mad Motherfucking Larkin. He's the group sniper, and people already told me because I enjoyed the sniper from Cain, Sorrel, and they were right. The only thing I liked more about Sorrel was I love how much he scared the bejesus out of Cain. He was on some like, you gotta walk in front like Kazaka and Hunter x Hunter. What I liked about Larkin is how much more effective and deadly he is. Plus, he seems to scare the shit out of the rest of the Tanith, so I guess that's enough. He also has a nice shot off another character that 810% deserved to get shot in the neck. He gets the game ball, dude. Don't spoil this for me, but I hope that he survives all of these novels, but I also doubt it. So the villains in this book were some of the best a fan could ask for. I thought I was going to be the leader of a Chaos Warband or a greater demon or something, but fuck that. Gaunt's biggest threats in this book are a major and a commissar from a different regiment, and a radical inquisitor that has more in common with the aforementioned demons than any inquisitor I've ever met. That's right. Forget the traitor legions and the demons of chaos. Who you need to watch your back against is the other members of the guard. So each of the villains has their own reason for wanting to fuck with Gaunt and Tanith, and they get into an actual blood feud against the Jantief patricians, and they're an elite regiment of killers. I feel like 75% of the killing in this book is guard-on-guard violence, and once again, damn if my expectations of this book weren't shot to shit. So the ending to this book is really crazy and amazing. For as famous as this book is, I'm actually very surprised that I had not been spoiled to the ending. I can see why it's such a protected bit of lore, because getting to the end of the book and finding out what everyone been killing each other over is more mind-blowing than being an entry-level psychic that's overcharged. So to be honest, I gotta give this book 10 out of 10 chain swords. I slick want to take a point off because it started really slow. But now that I'm more used to Abnett's writing style, and because the payoffs were well worth it, I can't knock it. Also, there are a lot of characters and events, but I think that's just gonna make the next read through more dynamic. So that was my video. What do you guys think about First and Only? And should I just go ahead and read the whole next? How many books are in this series? I think it's a freaking lot. What's the next book? When should I get to it? And okay, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm a Chaos Space Marine fan at heart. So the next book review I do is likely going to be some Chaos stuff. Me and my homies have an Infinite and Divine review on the way, so we're gonna do that next. But don't expect me to return to the Loyalist in the next book. I do want to do the next book of Gaunt's Ghost. However, Caiaphas Cain is still out there, and my wish list is longer than Gilliman's in tray at his desk. All right, guys. This is Ave Dominus Noob saying Ave Dominus Nox.